Are you into sharks? Do you like the movie Jaws? Maybe you love to watch scenes where people try to get away from these terrifying creatures. Well, then this hidden movement game might be something for you, because I am going to show you Jaws. This is a 2 to 4 player game where one player portrays as the Jaws, the shark, and the other players portrays as the characters from the movie Jaws, trying to save the swimmers and eventually trying to save themselves. I'm going to show you the setup of this game. I'm going to show you how to play the game, so once you have watched the video, well, you are ready to take on the shark or try to eat some people. This game actually have two different acts on both sides of this board. During the first act, we are on the island. The players that portrays as the humans tries to go around the island and save those innocent swimmers in the water. And the shark obviously goes around in the water and trying to eat the swimmers. In the second act, we are on the boat. The boat will be built up by these tiles here, and now the shark is trying to destroy the boat and of course kill the crew. And the crew members are trying to get rid of the shark forever. So this is the setup of the game, Act 1. You have the Act 1 side up on the board, the one with Amity Island on it. The players, portraying as the humans, all take their character boards on what human they would like to portray as. If this is a 4-player game, 3 players will have one character each, and 1 player will be portraying as the shark. If this is a 3-player game, 1 person will be the shark, and the other 2 will have each character each, and share the third one. If this is a 2-player game, 1 player will be the shark, and the other player will be all 3 characters. Each player will take a character board with the Act 1 side facing up. On here you can see all of the things that your character can do. Quint will also take 2 barrels, the rest of the barrels being placed in the shop in the center of the island. Quint also needs to take the meeple, the green meeple, and place it on the boat. The boat should be placed at the docks on square 8. The player portraying as Hooper gets the find fish tokens and place it in front of them. They get the blue meeple and the white boat. Place it at the docks on square 5. Player portraying as Brody will get the no swimming hazard area beach close token and the monocular token. Take the black meeple and place it on the Amity PD square 7. The player portraying as the shark gets the shark meeple, but do not place it on the map just yet. Also get the shark player board and take this red clip and put it on 0. Also take the shark tracker. This is where the player portraying as the shark will write down where they are using a pencil. Then the shark player also takes the 4 shark power tokens. If there's any new players in this game, they should have a chance to read these tokens first to see what the shark might do. Next to the board we also have the event cards. These should be shuffled real good and put next to the board. And then we have the swimmer tokens. Now the player portraying as a shark need to note down their starting location in their shark tracker sheet. This player here wants to start in location N, meaning North Beach. Act number 1 is played out during 3 different phases. The first phase is the event phase, and this is where we, the players portraying as the humans, draw the top card from the Amity event deck. Now we need to place out some swimmers on the board, depending on what the card says. So on this event card here, the helicopter, we have NN, EE, and W. But what does that mean? Well, that means that we should place 2 swimmers in section NN. Up here we can see there's an N, meaning we should place 2 swimmers in this section. The next one on the card was EE, meaning that we should put 2 swimmers in section E. And lastly, we have W, meaning 1 swimmer in W. When placing a swimmer in the water, you do not place Michael. This is Brody's son, and he is only placed if an event tells you to place him. But at the bottom of this event card, we also have a text. Some of these texts will affect the game in later phases or later rounds, and some of these cards, like this one here, will take effect immediately. This one here says that Brody may immediately move to any space on the island, meaning that the player portraying as Brody can move to any space on the island right now. That was the event phase. It's not that hard, is it? The players pick up a card, they read whatever on the card, place out some swimmers according to the letters, and watching the text to see if there's anything that they should do immediately or if there's anything that will affect them later in the game. But that was phase number 1. Now we move into phase number 2. And this is where the shark comes into play, because now it's the shark player's phase. The shark can choose to do up to 3 actions, meaning that they do not need to do all 3 actions, and they can actually do the same action several times. The first action that the shark player can choose to take is to move out in the water. The shark can't move on land for obvious reasons, but if the shark player chooses to move, they simply take their little shark tracker here and they write down their next movement on the map. Each field on the map represents 1 step. As you can see, the different fields are divided by white lines. Now, the other players do not know where the shark is, as the player has not told them their starting location. So it could basically be anywhere out on the map, and the other players just have no idea. To move, you simply take the pen and you write down the next step you would like to go. For example, going from, in this case, the starting location N to tile 6. Writing 6 on the shark tracker. And you can of course choose to eat one of the innocent people in the water. But again, you do not show this to the other players. You simply note it down in your shark tracker. Meaning that if you, for example, started on N and you ate a swimmer at N, you take your little pen and you note that down in your shark tracker, not removing a token from the board. That was the 2 main actions the shark can do, to move and eat swimmers. Again, you do not tell the other players what you have done yet. But you also have some other things that you need to do, because sooner or later there will be barrels in the water. And these damn barrels, they have motion sensors on them. So if you move through one of these motion sensors, the other players needs to know that you have been there, because, well, they got you on camera, so you can't slip through that one. But you also have these power tokens, which also you can use during your turn as the shark to amplify and power up your actions. But what do they actually do? So this is the 4 power tokens you have as a shark player, all giving you special abilities. On each of these tokens there is a text stating what the actual token does. The out of sight, for example, will let you become invisible to Hopper's fish finder and Brody's binoculars, meaning that if they ask you if you are at a certain location, you say no, even if it's not true. The feeding frenzy lets you eat all the swimmers in the area you are in instead of just one. The evasive moves lets you move by motion sensor barrels without triggering them, meaning that you can move past all these floating barrels in the sea and no one will see you. Speed burst will let you move 3 spaces instead of 1, but this one can only be used once, meaning that you move 3 spaces and then the rest of your action movements will only be 1 space again. So now the shark have done its entire turn. And this is where the shark needs to tell the players in what spot they have eaten swimmers and how many. So for example, if this shark player have eaten 2 swimmers in section N, well, we need to remove them from the map because, well, they're obviously gone because they're inside the shark right now. And now the shark player also needs to move up their little tracker here, the amount of step that they have eaten swimmers. In this case 2. Once we reach 9 on this tracker, Act 1 is over. That was the shark's phase. Phase number 2. The shark have moved around on the board or eaten swimmers or whatever a shark does and noted it down on their shark tracker. Now we come into phase number 3. This is where the players, the crew, takes their turns. And they can take their turn in any way they would like to do. But once a player has started their turn, they need to finish it before the next player goes. The players can take up to 4 actions each. Just like the shark moved on the board, the players can also choose to move. Meaning that they simply move their little meeple 1 step on the board. Remember, 1 field is within the white lines, so you simply take the meeple and move it around. But besides moving, they have some other actions that the shark does not have. The crew members can choose to save swimmers, meaning that they take a swimmer from the area that they are located in and remove it from the board, placing it back into the supplies. You can also choose to pick up barrels, but depending on which crew member you are, you can pick up barrels in different ways. If you are Quint, for example, you can pick up any number of barrels in your space, from either a dock or the water, but also Hooper's boat. But if you are Brody here, you can only pick up barrels at the shop. And you can only pick up 1 barrel at a time, because come on, he's only human and he's walking. But if you're Hooper, you can pick up any number of barrels from the docks or from the water. So that was the 3 actions that all of the crew members have in common. But besides those actions, they also have some special action. Quint, for example, can launch barrels into the water by using his harpoon gun that he has on the boat. He can launch the barrels into the space that he's in or into an adjacent one. If the shark is in the area where he launched the barrels, the shark player needs to immediately say that they are there and they are hit. If the shark is hit, the barrel goes to the shark player's player board. If the shark is hit a second time, Act 1 immediately ends. But if the shark is not in the area where the barrel were launched, the barrel stays in the water and now becomes a motion sensor. If the shark ever passes through this motion sensor, they need to say that they have been in this area. Brody can drop barrels at spaces where there are a barrel symbol. But Hooper can give the barrel directly to Quint if they're in the same area. The barrels are placed on Quint's player board. If Brody is located at one of the 4 beaches out on the map, he can choose to use his binoculars by placing them on this space. Now, if the shark is in this location where he uses the binoculars, they must declare it by put out their shark token in that spot. And if Brody is located at the Amity PD or the mayor's office, he can choose to close a beach by placing this token at a beach location. Now he can only do this once per round. But if an event card now tells you to place new swimmers in the closed beach area, you do not place new swimmers as the beach is closed. But you do turn the token around to the other side saying opening soon. The next time you will draw an event card that tells you to place swimmers in this area, you simply remove the token instead. Once per round, Hopper can choose to use his fish finder by placing it on the board. Depending on where the shark is in the location to the fish finder, different things can happen. If the shark is in an adjacent space connected by water, they need to tell you that they're nearby. Diagonal spaces does not count as adjacent. If the shark is at the same location where you place the fish tracker, they need to tell you that by placing the shark tracker. But if they are not adjacent to you or in the same space, they need to tell you that they are not there. When all players have taken their turns and done their actions, this round is over and we need to start a new round. If the shark have used any power tokens, these are now removed from the game and goes back into the box. If the shark have eaten 9 players or have received 2 barrels on their player card, this act is over. And now we move into act number 2 instead. But we do not reset the shark tracker here yet, because this will determine how many cards the players will get in act number 2. This is the setup of act number 2. Now we have flipped the board around and we have act 2, the orca being the boat, facing up. We have built this boat by tiles and we have placed out our little meeples on the boat. Meeples can be on the same tile or we can split them up any way we like to. Each player have now also flipped their player board over to the act 2 side. We have this little clip placed on 0 on the track. Each player have taken their personal gear, flipped them around and put them next to their player board. Each player also have a target token. The players portraying as the crew gets their crew gear. And depending on where the shark marker ended up during the last act, we will get a certain amount of gear. The same thing happens to the shark ability cards. In this case, the players playing the crew get 7 and the shark gets 6. The player playing the shark now flips the shark board over and uses the other side, placing the clip on 0. The crew gear is divided out amongst the players any way they would like to. The shark takes all of their shark ability cards. The shark also gets the shark token and the resurface tokens. The big ones. The small ones are placed next to the boards with the dice. We take the resurface deck and shuffle it and put it on the deck spot on the board. All other cards or tokens go back into the box. All other cards or tokens that are left over goes back into the box. So we are in Act 2 now, and we are on the boat. We have left the island to go out into the water on the boat. Why, I have no idea. It seems it would have been safer to just stay on the island. But hey, never mind. We're on the boat and we are trying to locate the shark. Because the shark starts its round underwater, so we have no idea where it is. It will resurface every now and then and try to kill the crew members or completely destroy the boat. The crew members, of course, try to locate the shark and take it out. Whoever managed to do any of the 2 things first wins the game. Act 2 is played out during a series of rounds, all following 6 steps. The first step is the resurface option. And this is where we need to take the top 3 cards from the resurface deck and flip them up. These 3 cards represent the shark's resurface options. The options where they can resurface are marked in red. And depending on which one they pick, the shark will resurface in different places. We then place out the small resurface tokens according to the cards that we just got, so the players easily can get an overview on where the shark might resurface. So now the player who plays the shark has 3 options on where they can resurface on the board. And this is where they should use their big resurface tokens to choose one of the 3 spots. So they pick either A, B, or C and put this token face down in front of them. They can also choose to play one of their shark abilities. These are abilities that will give the shark, well, extra powers when they resurface. To choose one of these cards, you simply take it and put it face down in front of you with the shark resurface tokens on top of it. That was step number 2. The shark have now chosen a location on the board in secret where they will resurface. Now the crew member can discuss their strategy. Where should they go? Where do they think the shark will pop up? What weapons should they choose? But this is all done in step number 3. But how do you actually do it? The crew members can move up to 2 steps on the boat to an adjacent spot. Remember that diagonal is not considered to be adjacent. Your crew members may jump into the water, but just remember to get back into the boat, it will take you both move actions. After the crew members have or have not moved, we need to choose one weapon each. There are 3 different types of weapons. These ones here are close-ranged weapons, which let you roll dice and inflict damage to the shark. Then we have firearms, which also lets you roll dice, but here you can hit in any distance. Then we have attachable weapons. These are close-range weapons that are attached to the shark. They have some kind of effect that will hinder the shark in their gameplay, and they are connected to the shark as long as they are attached. When the crew members have chosen their weapons, it's time for us to place out our target tokens. This is where we think the shark will resurface and where we actually want to aim to try to hit the shark. Remember that melee weapons needs to be in the same space to actually hit. Meaning that if this red player here uses a melee weapon, they need to stand on this space to actually be able to hit the shark. But the blue player here is using a rifle, which means that they can be far away from their target to actually hit. In step number 4, the shark actually reveals where they are resurfacing by flipping over their reveal token. This says A, meaning that now we place the little shark here on space A. The 2 other cards that are not chosen are now discarded in the discard pile. If the shark player have played any shark abilities, these takes effect now. If the shark chose a resurface card with the shake off symbol, they are now detached from any weapons that was attached to them earlier. So we are in step 5. This is where the crew members have a chance to make wounds on the shark. But remember, they need to be within range and they need to have actually tried to guess the right space on the board where the shark now appeared. To actually hit the shark, we need to roll some dice. To see if we actually hit the shark, we need to look at our weapon card. In this case, Hooper is using a rifle, letting him roll 2 dice and adding 1 hit. Meaning that if he rolls, for example, 3 hits, he will actually get +1, giving him 4 hits. We then need to look at the shark's resurface card to see what amount of evade the shark has. In this case, it was 2. We got 4, meaning that we actually hit the shark. But we only made 2 wounds since the evade took away 2 of the hits. We then move the clip up the amount of wounds we taken, indicating that the shark have now taken damage. If we had used any attachable weapons, we wouldn't have needed to roll any die. This one just sticks to the shark right away. That was the crew's attack. Now we move into step 6. This is where the shark get a chance to attack as well. And they actually have 2 options. The shark can choose to either attack the boat itself or attack a crew member. But to attack a crew member, they need to be in the water. And it makes sense, again, the shark can't just jump up and land on the boat and bite you. I mean, you need to be in the water. The shark may choose to attack one boat space, but they need to be adjacent to it. You need to announce which part you are attacking and then roll the amount of dice stated on the resurface card. Down here we have 1 die, meaning that this shark gets to roll 1 die. On each boat space we have 2 numbers. The first one represents the number of hits the shark must roll to damage the boat. And the second number, the large number, represents the number of hits required to destroy this boat part. If you did not roll enough to actually hit the boat, well, you missed. But if you do hit the boat, we flip the tile over. On this side we have another number showing that we now need to do less damage. If there would have been any crew members on this boat part, they would have fell down into the water. If we also manage to destroy this number here, we remove the tile completely. But like I said, the shark can also attack a crew member that have fallen into the water. And this goes the same way. We need to look at the resurface card to see how many dice we can roll. The amount of damage we get is the amount of damage that that player needs to move on their damage track. But before the shark goes back into the water, they actually get a bonus attack. They get to roll 1 die per crew member that are nearby them, and inflicting the wounds that they roll. And that was 1 round in this act. We played through the 6 different steps, and once we reach one of the following conditions, the game ends. Either if the shark managed to completely destroy the boat, or kill all crew members, the shark will win. But if the crew members manage to, well, kill the shark, the crew members win. And that's how you play Jaws. You play through act number 1 on the island, and then you go out into the boat in act 2. And players go back and forward trying to either eat the crew members or kill the shark. The game is a bit asymmetrical in act number 1 because here the players have some different actions. Some of the same and some different. In act number 2, everyone have the same actions. The shark is always by themselves, so the player that plays the shark really needs to be competitive and be happy about not co-oping with anybody else. The ones that plays the crews really need to be into co-op because they need to work together to find the shark. Otherwise, this game can be quite hard to beat if the crew members do not talk together, work together, have a plan together. And if you don't feel like playing Act 1 and Act 2 because you feel like it might be too long for you, you can actually choose to just play Act 1 or just play Act 2. I would actually recommend new players to hidden movement games or new players to Jaws to start with Act number 1. Play it out, feel the mechanics, get a grip of the different crew members, how the shark works and so on, and then you might be able to play a full game another time. There you have it, my friend. That was Jaws for you, a 2 to 4 player game from Ravensburger. And this is a funny, quite exciting game. If you are the shark, you're going to get some sweat on your forehead trying to get away from the crews, but also trying to actually eat them and eat the swimmers, and trying to have a tactic where you try to fool the different players around the board. But it can get quite lonely, just remember that, because it is you against the crew. And the crew have a lot of things going on. They need to throw out barrels, they need to try to kill the shark, they need to save swimmers. So they need to be ready to really work together as a group to find and get the shark. If you have not played any hidden movement games before, I recommend you to try this one out because it's a bit lighter, it's a bit faster, it's quite easy to get into the game quite fast with this one. There will be links down in the description if you want to know more about this game, so please go in and check that out if you like that. If you like my channel, you know what to do, people. Give me a comment, give me a like, subscribe to the channel. It gives me a smile on my lips every time I get a new subscriber. And until next time, people, please keep on spreading that board gaming love I know you all have. Peace.